Day 34 of the Atlantic hurricane season, day number 52 in the eastern Pacific, and that's where the action is at the moment, most of it anyway. Tropical storm Dalila weakening from a hurricane to a tropical storm status now at the moment, 70 mile per hour winds on that one. And the next storm in the making, Invest 97E, now with a high chance of development. Tropical cyclone formation alert has been issued on that storm, as it's expected to form in the next 48 hours or less. We also have Invest 91W that's formed in the western Pacific, very close to the western coast of the Philippines in the South China Sea, but currently the models do not predict that one to form, at least the models I've seen anyway. Here's the wide view of the Pacific region. You can see Dalila and 97E, the main systems out there. Dalila not likely to affect land. 97E may affect land according to the computer models at the moment, could affect the Mexican coastline. Looking at the Atlantic Ocean, we do have a system in the Gulf of Mexico right now, though it has not been designated as an invest just yet. 10% chance on this one according to the National Hurricane Center, and one or two of the models have been predicting that one to form just a little bit, and perhaps move into the Gulf Coast of the United States. And in the Indian Ocean, it's fairly quiet here at the moment. You can see no systems designated as an invest or any disturbances or anything of that nature, but we'll keep monitoring the North Indian Ocean for any development. Looking at the sea surface temperatures then, they've cooled down a little bit since the last update. The eastern Pacific, only next to the Mexican coastline. Along the coast we have warm temperatures around 30 degrees or 29 degrees. In the Gulf of Mexico, 29 degrees generally over large parts of that, which is still very warm for tropical cyclones. And in the South China Sea, the passage of Rumbio a few days ago has cooled waters near China, but near the Philippines waters remain warm, around 30 degrees I believe, around the coasts of the Philippines there. Here's Tropical Storm Dalila then, currently with winds of 70 miles per hour, 991 millibars after peaking with winds of 75 miles per hour and a pressure of 985 I think it was in the end. Positions currently 17.5 north, 108 degrees east, and is expected to sort of veer towards the west-southwest over the next 48 hours before moving ever so slightly more towards the north with a northward element as it continues to move westwards out to sea, and is certainly likely to start to weaken and then eventually dissipate out to sea. Here's Invest 97 as well, and the tracks that we've come up with from the model runs at the moment is for that storm to start off moving westwards and then move towards the northwest, perhaps affecting the Mexican coastline in around 3 or 4 days time. Current winds is 30 miles per hour, pressure is 1008 millibars, positions 12 degrees north and 96 degrees west with a 70% chance of development according to the National Hurricane Center as of 1 AM BST, that'll be midnight UTC. Looking at the eastern Pacific satellite imagery then, I think that big swirl towards the northwest of that picture there is actually the remnants of Cosme still going. I may be wrong with that. Dalila's still there, quite a small system as well Dalila is, but it's moving towards the west-southwest at the moment and is starting to fizzle out ever so slightly. I get that impression looking at that imagery there. The western Pacific, you can see the Philippines has had a lot of rain over the past 24 hours, and that little bit of interest towards the western part of the off the Philippines coast to the west is the Invest 91W just offshore there off the Philippine coast, but models do not predict that one to form over the next few days, so we will likely see that one fizzle out unless it defies the odds that are currently stacked against it at the moment. Looking at the computer models for the Atlantic and Eastern Pacific then, the CMC model first of all shows the Invest 97E to skirt the Mexican coastline, moving towards the northwest, and possibly causing a little bit of issues over there. The ECMWF model takes the storm a bit further out to sea towards the west, and will likely not have much of an effect on land if it does take that path, possibly as a strong tropical storm, maybe a minimal hurricane according to the ECMWF model there. The GFS model takes Dalila off to the southwest there, doesn't really develop the next storm 97E, and if you looked at the very start there, a little bit of a shallow system moving into the Gulf Coast of the United States at the end of that, at the start of that model run there. And the NavGem model moves Invest 97E towards the northwest as well, possibly having a bit of an effect on the Mexican coastline, but not too much in the way of development of the system. The GFDL model takes the system pretty close to the coastline, skirting along parallel almost at some points there as it moves towards the northwest. Not a particularly strong system, probably borderline tropical depression, tropical storm according to that one, and the HWRF model takes it further away from land and moves it out to sea as a tropical storm, perhaps a moderate tropical storm as it moves out to sea there, and you can actually see a system moving into the Texas coast as well on that model there I believe. Looking at the predicted season scores then for July the 4th, Ken remains in first place with 99 points, Typhoon Boba with 91, and Hurricane Melissa 20 with 89 points. That's the top 3 at the moment. Don't forget you can submit your own predictor season submissions on the website force13.com/interactive, and then just press the 2013 predictor season button and fill out the form, and it should be uploaded to the leaderboard in due course, though I do have to do it manually, so it does take a little bit of time when I can be bothered to update the leaderboard, but generally it's about once a day if there are storms out there that will change the scoring. So on this day for July the 4th, obviously Independence Day in the United States, 1971, Tropical Storm Arlene formed in the Atlantic. In 1973, Alice peaked as a Category 1 hurricane and made its closest approach to Bermuda. In 1975, Tropical Storm Amy turned post-tropical in the Atlantic, and in 1981, Hurricane Beatrice dissipated in the eastern Pacific. You can see the picture there, 1973, Alice making its closest approach to Bermuda as a hurricane there. In 1981, also pictured here, Tropical Storm Calvin formed in the eastern Pacific. In 1992, Hurricane Celia dissipated in the eastern Pacific. In 93, another Calvin formed in the eastern Pacific as well. That one's also pictured there near the Mexican coast there. And in 1997, Tropical Storm Anna turned post-tropical in the Atlantic on this day, on July 4th. You can see Calvin there near the Mexican coast. And also 2004, Typhoon Ting Ting dissipated in the western Pacific. In 2005, Tropical Storm Dennis formed in the Caribbean. Tropical Storm Dora formed in the eastern Pacific as well. In 2007, Tropical Storm Taraji formed in the western Pacific. In 2008, Tropical Storm Douglas dissipated in the eastern Pacific, and Daniel formed also in the eastern Pacific on this day last year in 2012. And don't forget you can track any storm that forms, including the ones currently active, or indeed one as it is now, Dalila. That's the current named storm that's active, but we may have another one joining it very soon. That would be in the form of Eric. That would be Invest 97 if it does, as is likely, form over the next 2 or 3 days, and I think it's fairly likely that it will become at least a tropical storm over the next 2 or 3 daes. But that's the website, force13.com/storm tracking. There you'll have an at-a-glance feature where you can see the big world map and all the current information at a glance. They can go more in depth, basin by basin, to see the track maps and indeed any warning information as that becomes relevant. No warnings in effect at the moment anywhere, but that may be triggered if Invest 97 does form and go close to the Mexican coastline. And don't forget you can follow Force 13 on all the social outlets, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. We're on all of those, all 3 of those. Just search Force 13, you should find us fairly easily enough. And don't forget to show your support by doing all the usual liking, commenting, subscribing, favoriting, following, whatever else that you may think of. And if you have any questions on the video, just go to the video page on YouTube and submit your comment, and I'll get back to it if it is relevant, or if I feel necessary to comment on your post. But that's it for now. The next bulletin will be coming up in 24 hours time, around midnight on July the 5th, with an update during the day on either Dalila or a storm on 97E, if that forms, if necessary, during the day on July the 4th. But that's it for now.